Hi all, today we're going to work on breaking down a Penn Senator 9.0, and let's get right to it.
And we'll start removing this portion of the harness. Let's work on removing the handle.
There's a stopper screw or a set screw right here that we're going to loosen so that we can remove the larger screw. Notice there was a washer, a spacer washer between the handle and the knob. And beneath it,
There's another spacer.
this is what engages or helps to engage the drag. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove these screws so we can remove the right side plate, and then work on the left side after we remove the spool. One thing to note here is that the screws on the left side plate for the stand are longer than those on the right side. If you notice here, it's thinner over here versus over here. I'm going to go ahead and loosen these screws here as well, slightly. This is for the bridge, or for the bridge and the jack plate assembly. And it just pops right off. As you can see, this reel was either not maintained or it's been a while since it's had some service done to it. Let's go ahead and pull out the spool, set that to the side. This spool does not, it's a one-piece spool, so there's nothing to remove from here besides removing the line and getting inside all cleaned up. And now we can go ahead and remove the beater rings. And pull out the stands or the lugs. And we're going to remove this beater ring as well. The way I do it is I will balance the eccentric lever, angle the beater ring, and push up. Let's go ahead and remove this this screw here for the eccentric lever. Now we'll go ahead and remove the jack plate and the bridge. Just holding the back side here so nothing comes kind of falls out or comes shooting out. Okay. Just drop it off like that. And here are the inner workings of the reel. These two springs you see came from here. This particular reel has a dog system that uses a spring or a leaf and not an actual coiled spring. We'll show you how to put that back in when we reassemble the reel. Just removing the yoke off of the pinion. And if you notice, the screws for the bridge are either fully threaded or partially threaded. The partially threaded screws go through the springs to secure the bridge. To remove the eccentric, just push up on it, pops right out just like that, and that's all that's in the right side plate of the now we'll go ahead and work on removing the drag washers on this, and these seem pretty stuck in there. Okay, went ahead and got this main gear off of the shaft. So it simply comes off like this. And this washer comes up like that. Now to remove this off the post, we need to remove the pin that's in there. If you see right here. So you can use a punch or a nail, a blunted nail, to remove that. This side plate is a one-piece side plate. This does not. None of this comes apart. Only the bearing will pop out. Like so. And that's the bearing for the left side. Let's go ahead and remove these screws so we can get these posts off and the stand off. Okay, now we can pop out these beater rings on this side. these lugs out. Remove this bearing. And that is it for the left side plate. Let's go ahead and get this stand broken down. This one is, let's pull this off first so I can show you. This stand is screwed on, secured with the nut here, with the post or the screw going all the way through. Now there's a square hole here and there's a square portion to the head of the screw. Right there that it'll fit into. And we're back. The reel has been cleaned. Now it's time to put this Penn 90 back together again. Let's start with the reel stand. As I said before, the screws have a notch or a square at the top that fits inside these holes. Let's go ahead and get it locked down. Next we'll go to the left side plate. And these beater rings are specific. The inner beater ring is specific to each side. So make sure you check that when you put them together. Make sure the holes are all visible when you line up the slots for the lugs, like so. You'll know eventually if you put the wrong inner beauty ring on, but it'll save you some time if you double check before you start. I'm going to go ahead and put the bearing in. I'll add some oil to this. Then I'll grease this clicker. Now we're going to put the BD ring on and attach the reel stand to it. Then we'll put the reel stand on. That'll sit just like that. Don't forget the smaller screws go on this side, the shorter screws for the stand. And that's again because this side plate is thinner than the other side. Now we'll finish up putting the posts on. And that's that for the left side plate. Go into the spool and add some grease. And that's that for the spool. Excuse me. So next we'll go ahead and work on the right side plate. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and get the drag stack put back in the main gear. And I already put in the pin. I put the pin back in already in the stand or the bridge. The post on the bridge is just something I can't show on camera. All you're essentially doing is taking that pin, putting it back in the slot on the post, and punching it through to the other side so it secures it. So for this, what I did was I added a little bit of oil there. I will add some grease as well. So it doesn't get seized up with saltwater intrusion. And I'll oil this bridge, excuse me, this bridge down. Next we'll go ahead and oil the main gear. Sorry, grease the main gear. And I also grease the inside here. So first goes the washer. Next, the main gear. Then we get our drag and set it back in. For the drags, I'm going to take some Cal's drag grease. To help prolong the life of them. First is a fiber drag washer, then a metal keyed washer, fiber drag washer, then a metal aired washer, and we keep repeating the process. Now we have the extra metal keyed washer on top. Then we add this fiber with metal spacer to fill the gap. And it all sits like so. Now we can move on to the right side plate. What I start with first here is always or usually the eccentric. So I'll grease this up. And I'll grease in that hole there as well. That's where the screw sits. But salt water can work its way in there and lock that in place. The pronged end of this spring goes inside this hole. Like so. And now what we're going to do is going to fit this end of the spring into that corner right there. I'll show you in a sec. It'll go right inside there. Like so. It's not set in place yet, so we're going to do that now. I'll take the lever. And all we're doing is just setting this in place so we can grab the end of the eccentric. We're just trying to bring it up so we can turn it. All right, I think we've gotten it. Good. So now I'll unscrew that, flip this over. Well, first let me go ahead and balance the middle. Get it to the middle point. Balance it there. Flip the lever over into the proper orientation. And screw that in place. Like that. We'll tighten this up at the end. Let's grease the spring for the eccentric. And even though this is plastic, I still grease it because this is where the jack will sit. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this bearing in because it needs to go in first. set that in place, add some oil to it. And it'll move around a little bit because it's not set yet. Get our springs, put them in the hole, like so. And I like to take the screws and put them in place to help secure the springs. Remember, again, these are the not fully threaded screws. I'll do it without it so you can see a little bit better. Let's get the pinion greased up. Set over the pinion gear like that, and it'll be facing this way. Next, we'll take the jack plate and fit that over everything. So to do so, we push down on the yoke. Ensure the lever is in retrieve mode, and set it down just like that. Now we can certainly take it back so it locks it in, but we'll leave it this way. It should stay either way. Now we're going to do the dog as we put in the bridge. So to do that, I take one of these screws that's fully threaded, stick it through the slot so it holds the dog in place. And to fit the dog in, you want to make sure the dog is facing the proper way. So it'll be sitting like that, which means the dog will be sitting on the screw just like that. If you can see that. Let's grease this dog a little bit. But not the end. So we'll rest that down there, try to keep it out of the way. And to get the bridge on, I'll start this way, drop it in place, push down on the yoke and the jack plate, and slowly turn. Now when I get to here, I'm greasing that with my fingers. I'm going to insert the spring for the dog, and that sits. Let's get a little farther down first, because we don't want that coming across. Insert the spring for the dog, which will sit. Let's make sure we got it right. Yeah, we're good. Which will sit just like this. Don't worry, it's a little tricky. trying to do this so you can see what I'm doing, but it may not be the case. Okay, it sits like that. That essentially keeps the dog engaged when the wheel is functioning. Now I just turn the bridge until I get to the pinion, and I'll lock this one in place so the dog doesn't slip. There we go. Now let's go ahead and get one of the not fully threaded screws to put through the spring so we can lock down the other side of the bridge. Now we'll add the screws to the other two sides, fully threaded, going through this section here. Not fully threaded, going through the other spring. We'll go ahead and lock these down. Okay, now let's go ahead and test this out to make sure it's working properly. And it is. So let's go ahead and get these. Let's drag back in. Okay. And that's that for the right side plate. All we have left to do now is put on the, it's keep falling out on me. I'm gonna just put on the beater rings, and then we can go to finishing this reel up. And again, like I said, to put this back in place, balance this in the middle, angle it this way and down, and it goes right on. Let's make sure we have the right spot first so we don't have to move it around too much. Like that. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll remove one of the posts from the left side, just so I can use it to secure the right side. Take one of our long screws and stick it through here. I'm going to add the lug before we do that. And the reason I know I'm doing the lug for the post is because I removed it from the lug from the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this spool in. And then we'll attach this right side to finish the reel up. So just like that. And now we can go ahead and attach or add the rest of the screws. And now we can do the stand screws. And don't tighten anything down all the way yet, because if you're a little bit off, you want to be able to make some adjustments to any of the parts so you can get the screws in place. Now I'm going to turn this over and replace the screw that we removed from the left side to take the post off. And now we can certainly tighten everything down. There's our free spool. Let's go ahead and lock this down. See, we forgot the lug for this side. Let's go ahead and get that put in. And now we can put the handle on. First goes this spacer sleeve. Then this thick washer, like so. Handle on. Go ahead and screw it in. And before I do that, I'm going to add some oil here as well. Sorry, some grease. And I know I did that already, but we're going to add just a little bit more to right there. Add the screw that keeps that in place. Lock that down. The last step to take is simply adding the harness and tightening this down. So the harness goes here. Like so. And that's how you put together a Penn Senator 9.0. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time.